So Vaisheshik Darshana or the Nyaya Darshana or the Sankhya Darshana, these all domains are taught as a philosophy subject in India and uh, treated as some literary manuscripts like uh, works of Plato, works of Aristotle. Okay, but Darshan Shastra and philosophy, they are not equivalent. Okay, that's what I found when the journey of my reverse engineering from ground to understanding the metaphysics of Ayurveda and then applying for the plants. So this journey, I got to know many things, and I wondered how those methodologies was developed, because uh, uh, once a New Zealand scientist, he commented on my article like, if you have something like microscope, then we believe like you have discovered something like Anu or Parmanu, okay, by Rishi Kanath. Show me your instruments, show me your labs, show me your methodologies. And he was absolutely correct. We have to give them the process, the methodologies, how we develop those things. Okay, and that frame of mind pushed me to write this book and to understand the how parameter, not the what parameter. We can have a long story, uh, or we can say that our Nalanda, Takshila were burnt, so we lost our knowledges, and we can proudly say like we are first in very much uh, many domains of sciences and mathematics. But the hard part is to explain how we got to know that. But uh, the West inherently, or they assumed like we cannot upgrade those limitations or those capabilities, and that's where the knowledge and the methodologies of rishis come. Okay, like we have not just the physical dimension, but the dimension of consciousness. Even the West is comprehending that concept, although they cannot explain, or they are explaining in different terms and using different words. But if consciousness and if unity consciousness is there, if it is existing, okay, it is, if it is not just as a concept or as a philosophy, then we have the connections, even what is or whatever is far away from us. Many asked me like, why you are researching on Rishi intelligence? We are living in the age of artificial intelligence. So I tell people like, anger is 1,000-year-old problem, and it need to be solved from different perspective, not from the pills or not from balancing just the hormones. Okay, so it was very much crucial to develop the lens to understand our own Sanskrit Shastra. So till now, what happened? Like those who understood the Sanskrit Shastra were from Sahityik domain. Like they understood the Raghuvansam of poet Kalidasa. They are the literary experts, and then something like scientific Sanskrit text is handed over to them. The analysis and the observations and understanding from those Sanskrit terms, it is very much different, uh, and it is not exact in nature. So a scientist having the understanding of the particular domain and also have the understanding of Sanskrit, not just in basic Sanskrit, will give more good results and fruitful results, and it would be good for our own Indian sciences. Today's talk will be on my recent book, that is on Rishi Intelligence. So mm, I am and I was into the field of natural farming, organic farming, and Vedic rearing of desi indigenous cows. So why and how I am into this domain of ancient knowledge system. So I went through the all school of thoughts in natural farming or organic farming throughout the world. And what I found that the Homa farming, the farming based on Agnihotra, the biodynamic farming based on the nakshatra or stars or the lunar cycles is more popular outside India. Okay, and we have very tough time within India to convince people that these are very much scientific in nature. Okay, because these things work, we have a visible evidence for the soil, for the plants. So it needs to be explained. Okay, so like 3 years ago, I published a paper called Decolonization of Mind. I faced many issues while interacting with scientists in, you can say, ICAR or the top researchers within India on natural farming and organic farming. So, whenever I went through these farming techniques, I listened a word, Vrikshayurveda, Ayurveda for plants. Okay, not from the plants, but Ayurveda for the plants. So, technically we have heard so many times like Ayurveda is based on Panch Mahabhuta, Ayurveda is based on three dosha, Ayurveda is based on Shadrasa or Saptadhatu. So even Panch Mahabhuta is there for animals and plants also. So if Ayurveda is not a pseudoscience, if it is scientific in nature, its principles should apply on plants also by very definition of Ayurveda. Okay, so it was very much exciting for me, like okay, we have seen the results of Ayurveda for human, now we are here to see the results for plants and later animals, pashu, gau mata. So the first tedious task was to understand what is Vata, Pitta and Kapha for plants or for the animals. If we cannot categorize those terms for apart from human, then how can we treat, how can we apply Ayurveda on them? Okay, so then I got to know that a very you can say good renowned scientist Vyal Nene, who discovered the microphys, the scanned copy of Vrikshayurveda from the Bodleian Library in UK and brought to India, and then it got translated. And Asian Agri-History Foundation and Pantanagar University, they researched on the verses, okay, on the verses of Vrikshayurveda. And this text is almost more than 1000 year old, written by Sri Vaidya Shurupal. Okay. So we have granths like Vishwavallabh written by Chakrapani Mishra or the Brihat Samhita by Varah Mihir. But this text, this Vriksha Ayurveda by Sri Shurupala is like outstanding, and it's a breakthrough for those who are researching for Ayurveda in plants. Okay. So I went to do the reverse engineering part because I come from the engineering background and I have an experience of like 7 years of corporate experience. So very much a sane mind, not believing anything straightforward, going deep down and going for uh, post-mortem for these things. So uh, I found very peculiar and very, you can say, not very much primitive, but very much advanced science, even for India. That is the Vaisheshika Sutra. Because applying Ayurveda directly for the plant, it was very much tough for us because of the characterization of Vat Pitta Kapha. So we have to go for the metaphysics of Ayurveda. And that's how, and that's why I have written this book, Rishi Intelligence. Like, we have to go for the principles of principles, then we can apply those principles as applied science, and then we can get good results. If we have the metaphysics of modern science and applying into the ancient science, then we have some kind of average results. Like in Ayurveda, what we do, we have the herbal medicines. Okay, we have the herbal extracts. So from allopathy, what allopathy does, they search for the activating molecule or the active molecular part, because their metaphysics is coming from atomic theory. Okay, and that's why Ayurveda also become like the same medical science, contemporary medical sciences. But if we have the metaphysics of our own origin, we have to go for at least basic understanding of reincarnation, basic understanding of how chitta influences the body. Okay, so that means we have to go for the evolutionary processes of ancient sciences of Bharat also, and that's where the Sankhya Darshan come. Okay. So when we correctly apply the metaphysics of our own sciences, then we get the actual results. Okay. So Tirth, even Prayashchit, even Homa, even any non-physical parameters we can apply to get the health benefits from the Ayurvedic perspective if we have the original metaphysics of Bharat. Okay. So Vaisheshik Darshana or the Nyaya Darshana or the Sankhya Darshana, these all things, these all domains are taught as a philosophy subject in India, and uh, treated as a some literary manuscripts, like uh, works of Plato, works of Aristotle. Okay, but Darshana Shastra and philosophy, they are not equivalent. Okay, that's what I found when the journey of my reverse engineering from ground to understanding the metaphysics of Ayurveda and then applying for the plants. So this journey, I got to know many things, and I wondered how those methodologies was developed, because uh, uh, once a New Zealand scientist, he commented on my article, like if you have something like microscope, then we believe like you have discovered something like Anu or Parmanu, okay, by Rishi Kanad. Show me your instruments, show me your labs, show me your methodologies. And he was absolutely correct. We have to give them the process, the methodologies, how we develop those things. Okay, and that's that frame of mind uh, pushed me to write this book and to understand the how parameter, not the what parameter. We can have a long story, uh, or we can say that our Nalanda, Takshila were burnt, so we lost our knowledges, and we can proudly say like we are first in very much uh, many domains of sciences and mathematics. But the hard part is to explain how we got to know that without the lab and without the instruments. And then the Yoga Sutra came. Okay, so I thought, okay, Yoga Sutra is for moksha only, uh, or the bodily or mental health. But actually yoga is for diluting the subject object dichotomy. Okay, that's what I understood from understanding the actual Yoga Sutra from Rishi Patanjali. And there I got to know that okay, there are different types of samadhi. Okay, different types of samadhi, and one of the samadhi is called sampragyat samadhi, samadhi with pragya, samadhi with uh, Rishi's intelligence. Okay, so the I can say literally in one or two sentences how they got to know all those things. But people will say, okay, these are very much uh, story of fairy tale. These are fairy tales, and these are not believable. And because you are not able to explain it, so you have something like a backstory to explain it. But uh, for even going to the Rishi's intelligence, what I understood from Tarka Shastra or Nyaya Darshana from Rishi Gautam, that our logic comes under the realm of our words, our expressions, okay, in the language domain. And from experience of our own, we know that all experiences of our life, we are not able to explain that. The best thing we can do, like write a poem on our based on our feelings, okay. But even poems and even stories or even these monologues are not the direct or exact expressions of our understanding or whatever we want to convey. So because language has some barrier, and logic comes under the realm of language, so there is inherent incapability of logic and language to explain everything, okay. So that is the something like upper limit of expression in words. And if you are not able to express in terms of mathematical terms or even a language, so how you would be able to measure it and how you teach it? So what is science? Science is basically either it follows the rationality part or the logic part, okay. So science is like, okay, does this experiment 1,000 times, and if you get the result for 600 or 700 times, then it is we can say that we have validated what we have conveyed as a hypothesis, okay. Or we can go for empirical analysis, or we can have something as y analysis on cause and effect analysis. So somehow these things follow these procedures, and then we can measure it, then we can taught it and transfer it. So science is not a first hand experience thing, it can be transferable. And if you does the same 10 steps, you will get the same result, okay. If you follow the correct procedures, you will get the same result. So this is the scientific realm. But what is the realm or domain of yoga? If I teach you the 10 methodologies, the meditation technique, 10 different people will get different results, and this is not scientific, okay. Because science has this reductionist approach of taking only physical considerations, okay. Yoga is not giving same results to every person, even after following the same results will be explained by the concept of karma or the chitta or the chitta shuddhi. Many terms will be there or concepts will be there to explain why there are variations in yoga. And because it is not teachable or it is not measurable in terms quantitatively, so it is not scientific. But science cannot have the monopoly on the truth. That's what I have understood from understanding the Tarka Shastra of Rishi Gautam. Okay, I am not even claiming or mentioning the terms like Kundalini or even terms like Samadhi, but still we can have the understanding of limitations of our own existing contemporary tools. Okay, so uh, now whatever I am saying right now, you don't have to believe it, but just to have a comparative analysis of AI and RI, uh, I am telling this. So, how AI uh, was being developed? So, fundamentally, the definition of our sense organ is like that it has some limitations. It can perceive things with its own boundary. Like we cannot see microscopically with our eyes, and we cannot see far away with our eyes. So we have the instruments. So limitation of indriya, limitations of sense organ. We have the instruments to compensate that. And when we apply logic, we have the biases of our life experiences. But uh, the West inherently, or they assumed like we cannot upgrade those limitations, or those capabilities. And that's where the knowledge and the methodologies of rishis come. Okay, like we have not just the physical dimension, but the dimension of consciousness. Even the West is comprehending that concept, although they cannot explain, or they are explaining in different terms and using different words. But if consciousness and if unity consciousness is there, if it is existing, okay, if it is not just as a concept, or as a philosophy, then we have the connections, even what is or whatever is far away from us. So the point is how to get that. Okay, so by analyzing the Ashtanga mark, like from coming from yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar. Okay, so these are like for controlling the senses. Indriya Jaya. To become Indriya Jaya, these things are being done. The last three parts, the Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, these are crucial, and these are the fundamental tools of our great rishis to explore the nature and explore the world. As a first hand experience, not by using the tool, they met their body laboratory, they met their organs as a sense organs, which can observe very far, which can observe microscopically. Okay, so it's like whatever we define the samadhi term, they say like there is a dilution of subject object dichotomy. There is not knower and the known, but they both become one. So let's say if you want to know about uh, Khagol Shastra or astronomy. So what our issues does, they they put dharana and dhyan on samadhi, or the samadhi onto the dhruvatara. Okay, so what is dhyan, what is dharana, and what is samadhi? I have explained these in terms of our own contemporary understanding in my book, Rishi's Intelligence. But that was the methodologies to know the planetary motions and planetary movements. So it's like one pointedness focus, super focus, and not disturbed by the noises of the surrounding or disturbance of even our thoughts. We can get to know whatever we want to know. But we have to leave everything behind, and that particular subject should be our core focus for our exploration. So this is the very basic premise of how rishis got to know about those uh, subjects or domain. And that is not just the realm. Rishis were also using the Tarka Shastra. They were also doing the Shastrartha, the discussions. Okay. So it is not like they were not appreciating whatever that is physical uh, uh, in nature. So they also developed like a telescope, maybe with low precision, but they have developed those tools also. Okay. Rishi Bharadwaj is uh, he was appreciated for doing these explorations in our publications from last 100 years. They were very not so popular books, but even those experiments and tools were explained in well mannered. Okay, so this journey of understanding darshan shastra not as a philosophy, but as a tool that is somehow unscientific in nature, but because we are getting the results, because we are getting the evidences, so we are appreciating those domains, those understanding, and they may not fit into the scientific framework, because we are not applying empirical analysis or rationality. Okay. So it's like science has no monopoly on the truth. If you are getting health benefit from certain medicines, it has some principles. We may not be able to explain that, but yoga and Ayurveda is already helping people. So in principle, those sciences are not pseudosciences. Okay, that's the best we can understand, and that is the best we can convince ourselves to go for exploration or going deep down for those domains as our research domain. So in the book, we have the 13 chapters and explained the yoga part for the exploration technique. The Tarka Shastra chapter is there. Sankhya Darshan to understand the cosmology, because if you don't understand the Sankhya Darshan, the evolutionary part, how would you know that we don't have just the physical root? We have the consciousness root, and we have something beyond atoms and molecules. So it was a wonderful experience for me to rejuvenate or redevelop the ancient science, Vrikshayurveda knowledge system, uh, because many people generally talk in sarcastic manner, like, okay, whenever there is a discovery in the West, you Indian people try to find something in the Vedas. Why not you are doing very far? But you should do it very fast and then explain the world why you are waiting for those Western discoveries. So because we have the Western metaphysics to even understand, or to even to get to know about the ancient sciences, we are something lagging behind on those subjects. So the very basis and the foundation of understanding our ancient knowledge system, it is the drishti. It should be the Bharatiya drishti. So Bharatiya drishti and Bharatiya darshan shastra will explain the ancient knowledge system, Bharatiya knowledge system, in is its purest form, and then we will be able to develop it and something innovate out of it. Okay. So I got to know about, like, people, those who are even studying in Ayurveda college, they tend to skip the first semester or second semester, because first semester, second semester, the subjects are the Darshan Shastra, and uh, they try to leave it or ignore it because they have issues even understanding those subjects, because uh, it, it it is always the first time for the people to comprehend those subjects, and they never did in school or college time. So understanding of the Darshan Shastra, understanding the Drishti, then applying those frameworks on our ancient sciences, and then developing as applied sciences. That is the way to go for the actual IKS system for our own domains. So I got a thread, or the connecting parameter, to prove or to validate that we have our own understanding of nature, and we have our own science. So what is the journey of AI? It is coming from Aristotle, the logic. Okay, then there is mathematics, then there is physics, then there is applied physics, then there is engineering, then technology, and then AI is there. Okay, so it is always coming from logic, the basic mathematics, the basic science, then applied science. So people are not confused about the validity of science, because they have a smartphone in their hand. Okay, they are using technology, so they know that the principles are working well, and they don't need to debate whether science is the actual domain, or it's just a philosophy, or it's just a pseudo in nature, because they have the pratyaksha praman, they have the evidence. So similarly, if we go for the links, the first is the Tarka Shastra from Nyaya Darshan. Okay. Then there is a Vaisheshik Darshan. So we have the basic physics and basic uh, Tarka Shastra, basic Indian logic system, Bharatiya logic system. Now we all know that in mathematics, in the Bharatiya Ganit, we have not just the zero, but the algebra and also the calculus. I have explained why calculus is there uh, embedded in the Sanskrit Sutra, and why people are not comprehending it, because the very psyche, the very conditioned mind thinks like, okay, there should be a Latin symbol or Greek symbol to observe it or to understand it as a mathematics. Science and mathematics cannot be written in poem, cannot be written in verses. Okay, so there is calculus. There is basic Ganit, basic mathematics, there is basic physics, Vaisheshik Darshan, and there is Tark Shastra. So we have all these, the foundational parameter, to call it like we have our own understanding of the nature or Indic sciences. Now, seeing the iron pillar in Delhi, we can very much assured like we have the engineering, or seeing the temples, we have the engineering, we have the basic sciences. The missing part is the applied sciences. Okay, so but it's a complete chain. We cannot have a iron pillar without basic understanding of the metallurgy, basic understanding of metals, minerals, the processing methodologies, and it is coming from the understanding of the science. Okay, so if the chain is complete, so you cannot say that that the father of this subject is that person, or father of subject is like, even father of organic farming is uh, credited to Albert Howard. And if Bharat is Krishi Pradhan Desh, so how can on earth organic farming is first time discovered by the West? Okay, so the understanding the nature, the methodologies, the epistemologies, or the metaphysics of the sciences is very much crucial for the development of sciences like Vrikshayurveda, that is not primitive in nature, because it is also treating the trees uh, damaged by the lightning strike. Okay, Vajrapat. Uh, so you can say, if it is not primitive, it has some basis, it has some basic applied sciences. We have to complete that chain, and we have to fill up the missing links for those domains. So it was a very much fascinating journey for me, from going for the agriculture and finding that not every natural farming technique is working on uh, every part of the country, because we have more than 20 agroclimatic zones throughout the country, different soil sciences, different microclimatic zone. So it should have the the logic, and it should have the basic scientific temperament to understand what is required for that particular reason, and then apply those solutions to those particular problems. So developing science for agriculture, for botany, uh, these metaphysics were very much helpful for me. I penned down these things, the basic understanding from the foundational principles of Nyaya Darshan, Tarka Shastra, to why Homa farming works, why Agnohotra works, because people tend to think like, okay, there is some pollution from Agnihotra, so how on earth it is benefiting the people? But if from an open mind, if we try to follow those particular steps, prescribed steps, not from our own logic or our own contemporary logic, if we follow those particular steps, particular karma kand, if we are getting the result, then we have to believe like this is working, even if I am not finding the direct connect with whatever happening with us. Okay, so uh, why these things work and why mantra works, it is just sound, it is just vibration, or something beyond that. So those things I also included in my book, because even a mantra is being used for improving the pH of our soil. Okay, so we are getting something physical in nature, physical result in nature from something that is not physical, beyond physical. Okay, para. Okay, so that if any pseudoscience, even any ancient science, if it is benefiting even now, it is relevant for our contemporary world. Okay, like uh, many asked me like, why you are researching on Rishi intelligence? We are living in the age of artificial intelligence. So I tell people like, anger is 1,000-year old problem, and it need to be solved uh, from different perspective, not from the pills or not from balancing just the hormones. Okay, so uh, it was very much crucial uh, to develop the lens to understand our own Sanskrit Shastra. So till now, what happened? Like those who understood the Sanskrit Shastra were from Sahityic domain. Like they understood the Raghuvansam of poet Kalidasa. They are the literary experts, and then something like scientific Sanskrit text is handed over to them. The analysis and the observations and understanding from those Sanskrit terms, it is very much different, uh, and it is not exact in nature. So a scientist having the understanding of the particular domain and also have the understanding of Sanskrit, not just in basic Sanskrit, will give more good results and fruitful results, and it would be good for our own Indian sciences. So, and I'm open for any Q&A sessions. This is from my side. Thank you.
Rituji. Thank you, Raviji, for the beautiful presentation. I wondered about, I don't know if this is slightly tangential to what you discussed. Please let me know if it is. But there's this whole area of consciousness studies in the West. And I see that as a very different zone than how we view. And I have minimal experience in our culture due to not having access to it. But whatever I have been given, I have applied it. And I see that their exploration of consciousness, they're trying to go through matter, trying to study people's brains. And I feel from my experience of how materially attached I am versus when I'm doing my practices, I can see that that is not gonna throw any light on the real experience towards consciousness because I haven't experienced consciousness like, being in my state of awareness in extreme samadhi. I am a novice on that path. So जितना थोड़ा मेरा experience रहा है उसके basis पे मुझे लगता है that their pathway or that whole industry that's exploring consciousness will never actually get to recognizing Rishi intelligence, for example. What do you think about it? I don't want to make this controversial, or it's not meant in a demeaning way to anybody's efforts in the West. I understand they are sincerely looking for it, but I'm thinking that won't get them anywhere. But from your studies, what do you feel? Is it of any utility, of value, what they are doing? Will it actually get them to seeing the Rishi intelligence? Because I don't see that happening through those methods. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aditi ji, for asking this question. And you can also connect with me through email for detailed discussion on what is the research area that is being going on in India for consciousness. So there is two terms, like one is the emergent property and the second term is the inherent property. Okay. So West has this uh, the obsession or the very idea of explaining everything in parts, okay, and then rejoining it, like going for atoms and uh, then applying the understanding of constituents or the amalgamation of the atoms. So similarly, they think like consciousness is emergent property for many. Like if you put all the organs and brains and somehow the consciousness emerges. That is the understanding of many of the people in the West, and not all the people, but yes, very significant portions understand like emergent property is the property, and they try to explain it from the concept of randomness, and then they apply entropy. But somehow uh, the understanding of the evolution, they start it from the god particle or the particle itself. So whenever I study Sankhya darshan or Kashmir Shaivism, they explain in terms like Purush or Prakriti, Shiva and Shakti. And if you go for Vedant, then there is Brahma. So from consciousness, everything is evolving, even the matter. So somehow, the physical realm is not the very first or the root of the evolution, but it is in the later stages. So consciousness is the root, even from the even for the matter. So it is inherent property, it is everywhere. It is like a field, it is there uh, already, and it will be there even after the annihilation, and even after the pralaya, even after there is no matter in existence. So it's the very different approach to understand the consciousness in localized manner, and to understand consciousness as unity consciousness. There is only one consciousness. And all are connected, even the matter is connected to that only single unity consciousness. Yes, the maya, the well, or the ahankar tattva, uh, that breaks away that unity fabric, unity consciousness, and we differentiate and we see diversity. Okay, so this is the fundamental definition, difference between the emergent and emergent property, and the inherent property, and the concept of consciousness from Indic point of view, and the from West. So whatever the research they do, they right now they do for the product development, like whatever, what can they do for medical sciences, what can do for the industry. So not as going for the pursuit of the pure science, but to develop a business model out of it. So that approach is itself uh, pushing them towards something different. And if they start appreciating the metaphysics of uh, s- Indian sciences, then they have to dissolve and they have to dismantle their own metaphysics, and that is detrimental for their own existence. Means the concept that is coming from Bible, that the concept coming from uh, their own understanding. So it is existential threat if we if they really go for the real part of consciousness, and that's how they are approaching to it. So uh, अभी तक तो मैं बस यही समझ रहा हूँ, और यही मुझे कहना था कि whatever they are doing.
Thank you so much for answering. Yes, thank you for the offer. I would love to have your email and discuss whatever. I do not know as much as you, so I feel a little unsure, but thank you.
Since you come from a purely engineering background and have worked in the corporate sector, what inspired you to basically shift from the corporate background to purely advocating for Vrikshayurveda awareness, considering the notion that this domain would possibly be less lucrative for you than the corporate, especially in the context of contemporary ideas of, and parameters of success and growth?
Okay, so technically I'm into the entrepreneurship domain field. So I started my foundation in 2017, and went for village and villages, farms and farmers. So then I understood the pain, why natural farming and organic farming is not there, because I see organic farming and natural farming from the marketing point of view, that it has a USP, and uh, it has a prospect, it has a future, because food is connected through the health, and it is also connected with nutrition. So it is a emerging industry, but because there is less research and less Indian research on this domain, parallelly I did what I did means doing for and going for Sanskrit studies. Okay, but still I do consultancy for people, those who want to set up farms and Vedic villages. So uh, I I have something like a very balance between the going for entrepreneurship and the domain expertise. So I do understand that going for this only research, it is not lucrative till now, but IKS is also emerging. Indigenous knowledge system is also there, and I have a deep passion towards doing something for rural India. Okay, that's I saw that startup ecosystem, they were booming and they became saturated in metros. So for tier 2 to tier 3 cities, there is a complete vacuum, and there is a huge opportunity to solve those issues and to bring business model out of it. So uh, and that's how my research and my books will not be seen as economic or academic pursuit per se, but as a manual or as a experience, ground zero experience. And that's how I structured and published these books.
Well, so how challenging it was for you to kind of pursue a completely new field of studies, like the Vrikshayurveda, and what were the steps that that led you to ace this particular field? And also, the second part of the question would be, what would be your suggestion for young professionals who would like to follow your path?
So the very first thing I want to say that it was easy for me. Means it was easy to decode Bhagavad Gita in real life for me. It was easy for understanding the Darshana Shastra. So I got to know about something like Prarabdha, and that this is the direction of your birth. So I went for the thorough analysis of my Kundali and Jyotish, that what I was in my previous birth, and how what should I do. So uh, from there I went to these sectors that like it will be easy for me compared to others. And for youth I want to suggest like uh, go for something that is unexplored, and that can help society, people, and that will have an opportunity. Like US or America succeeded in expanding or developing industry out of innovations. Okay, so anything we research, anything we got to know about, we have to have that capability of bringing it, or bring into the framework that people will pay for your consultancy, or for your effort. Till then you have to go for real understanding of your particular domain, and please travel India, rural India, to get more insight about the opportunities and what is lagging behind.
थैंक यू थैंक यू हेमंत जी आप अनम्यूट करके पूछ सकते हैं अपना प्रश्न
ओके, नमस्ते एवरीवन। प्रणाम रवि भैया। तो भैया, क्या ऐसे पढ़ना चाहिए कि हमारे व्यवहार में जीने में जहाँ दिक्कत आ रहा है उसका सॉल्यूशन खोजने के लिए उनको समझना और फिर बेहतर करना? क्योंकि मेरे को जितना समझ में आया, मेरे को वो चीज लगी कि पढ़ पढ़ के फिर चेक करने जाने वाला वही साइंटिफिक एक्सपेरिमेंट वाला हो गया कि है, तो फिर प्रूविंग हो जाता है तो ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाता है। तो ऐसे करते हुए अगर चले तो कंसिडरिंग कि अभी हम लोग यूथ फेज में हैं, और तो कौन कौन से टेक्स्ट को सबसे पहले पढ़ना शुरू करना चाहिए? क्योंकि जो हमारे इसलिए पढ़ना है कुछ भी इसके लिए नहीं, बल्कि हमारी लाइफ को बेटर करने के लिए, जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स आ रहे हैं उसका सॉल्यूशंस के लिए, एक एस्पेक्ट के लिए उसको पढ़ना है। तो कौन से टेक्स्ट से पढ़ना शुरू करें?
मतलब टेक्स्ट को भी आपको लेना पड़ेगा, और सिर्फ टेक्स्ट को नहीं, मतलब जो सामाजिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग, मतलब आउटवर्ड जो मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, लोगों से जो आप इंटरेक्शन कर रहे हैं, मतलब लर्निंग हमारी कहीं से भी हो सकती है। उसका जो बेस है उसमें आप शास्त्र को आधार बना सकते हैं। तो जैसे भगवत गीता मैंने कहा, दैट इज मोर देन एनफ। मतलब अगर वो आप देखते हैं, और अगर साइंस के डोमेन में जाना है तो फिर जो कहते हैं न्याय, वैशेषिक और जो योग और सांख्य है, तो ये जो मैंने जैसे किया था, मैंने तो आर्ष न्यास गुरुकुल से 300 आवर्स का समझ लीजिए वो पूरा आचार्य सत्यजीत जी से सुना था मैंने पूरा। तो सिर्फ टेक्स्ट भी पढ़ेंगे तो भी काम नहीं आएगा, ठीक है, आपको सपोर्ट भी चाहिए होता है, और उस इकोसिस्टम में होना चाहिए। जैसे कि नॉट फॉर इंटेलेक्चुअल आनंद, मतलब मजा आ रहा है पढ़ने में, उसके लिए नहीं, मतलब वो रेलिवेंट हो, उसको हम एग्जीक्यूट कर पाए, उसका हम कुछ अप्लाइड कर पाए, वो वाला ही डोमेन पे आप समय थे तो ज्यादा अच्छा है। क्योंकि जैसा मुझे समझ में आया कि जैसे एग्रीकल्चर में ही था, तो ओपिनियन मेकर्स तो बहुत हैं, लेकिन खेती में बहुत कम लोग हैं। तो वहां पर डिफरेंस लाने के लिए जब आप काम करते हैं तो ज्यादा एक लेंस जो है, आपके नजरिया जो है पूरा वो चेंज होता है, और फिर आप बेहतर ढंग से उसको समझते हैं और जानते हैं।
वृक्ष
जी।
आयुर्वेद की आपने बात की, उसे और गहन रूप से समझने के लिए जो भी कार्य अभी तक हुए हैं, इनफैक्ट हमारे जो ऋषि रहे हैं, जैसे आपने ऋषि सुरपाल का उल्लेख किया, तो किन टेक्स्ट को, किन पुस्तकों को एक मतलब हम देख सकते हैं यदि कोई व्यक्ति एकदम प्रारंभ से देखना चाहे?
ग्रंथों का नाम मैं ले सकता हूँ, जैसे कि दो पब्लिकेशन हाउसेस मुझे दिखाई देती हैं। जो चौखंबा पब्लिकेशन हाउस है जो बनारस में है, और दूसरा एशियन एग्री हिस्ट्री फाउंडेशन। तो उसमें कृषि पराशर, पहले तो पराशर मुनि की, महर्षि पराशर की आ गई, कृषि पराशर ग्रंथ। फिर है काश्यप कृषि शुक्ति, जो कश्यप ऋषि की कृषि शुक्ति है, दो हो गई। थोड़ा सा मत्स्य पुराण और अग्नि पुराण में मिलता है, कृषि जो है वहां पर मिलता है। विश्व वल्लभ चक्रपाणि मिश्र ने लिखी है, ये सब आप टाइप करेंगे, ये आपको सारे मिल जाएंगे। और मेरे वृक्ष आयुर्वेद पे एक डेडिकेटेड टॉक है, उस पे भी मैंने सारे लिंक्स और सारे डिटेल्स दिए हैं। फिर उपवन विनोद है। फिर वृक्ष आयुर्वेद नाम से ही हो गई आपकी, अ, जो वैद्य सूर्यपाल द्वारा रचित है। तो ये जो है मेन टेक्स्ट हो गए। आपके बृहद संहिता हो गई, उसकी जो चैप्टर 55 है वो है वृक्ष आयुर्वेद पे। ये सारा जो एरिया है ये वृक्ष आयुर्वेद डोमेन पे है। तो क्या हुआ है कि बहुत सारा फ्रेगमेंटेड है, और जैसे अब कृषि पराशर जाएंगे तो नक्षत्रों की बात ज्यादा है। फिर कश्यप कृषि शुक्ति जाएंगे तो कुछ विषय ज्यादा लिए गए हैं। तो एक बैलेंस बनाने के लिए वृक्ष आयुर्वेद संहिता पर भी मेरा 2 साल से पूरा रिसर्च चल रहा था कि एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड मैनर में टेक्स्ट आए। तो आने वाले महीनों में वृक्षायुर्वेद संहिता नाम से भी पुस्तक मेरी आएगी, जो ट्राइलिंगुअल मैंने रखा है कि हिंदी, इंग्लिश और संस्कृत एक ही पुस्तक में वो रहे, ताकि कोई इशू ना हो समझने और जानने में। बाकी जो मैंने पुस्तकों की नाम ली वो हिंदी, संस्कृत और इंग्लिश और संस्कृत इसमें ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल है। आप उसको ले सकते हैं।